Senate Finance Committee will come to order. Members, we have House File 2032 before us. Senator Chamberlain.
Madam Chair, members, I have the A3 amendment.
Madam Chair.
Senator Ingebrigtsen.
Madam Chair, I move the A3 amendment.
Senator Ingebrigtsen moves the A3 amendment. Senator Chamberlain.
Madam Chair, members, what this bill does, the amendment contains language that will allow appropriations to continue at the forecasted level for the fiscal year 2021 biennium if no other major appropriations bill have been enacted by July 1st, 2019 to fund state agency operations. That's the high-level piece, so I'll walk through the two subdivisions real quick. It's a short. Yes, Madam
Senator
Chair.
Chamberlain, could you please move your microphone in front of you?
I was
And we
speaking.
also have a spreadsheet that we're going to pass out also while you're going through the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize for that. So quickly, just a quick overview. Subdivision 1 simply establishes continuing funding for the state agencies if funding has not been provided for that agency, for the agencies by July 1 of 2019. The next, it also addresses that one-time expenditures for the current biennium will stay one-time expenditures. That is, they will not continue. They were expended in 2018-19, so they will not carry forward. The forecasted base, the amount of the appropriation is the forecasted base. That is based on the February 19, 2019 forecast. That number is roughly $47.4 billion. Our current spending, and I know you all know the number, is roughly 45.5 for the current biennium. So it's an increase of about 1.9 billion, or 4.1%, if I am correct on that. Subdivision 2, the Legislative Advisory Commission would be contacted if we have issues regarding budget shortfalls or imbalances, but it also prohibits reducing the expenditures below the base level. Prohibits reducing expenditures below base level, and would also require consultation with the Legislative Advisory Commission. And paragraph B there talks about the federal money that has not been appropriated. They would also go through the Legislative Advisory Commission if they were asked for further review. So, members, that's the amendment quickly. And what we're talking about here is simply prudence and being responsible, being prepared for the future. We hope for the best, but we plan for the worst, prepare for the worst. Work, of course, continues in all the committees, conference committees, and in the negotiating teams to come to an agreement before Monday. That work continues, it will continue, and we are dedicated and committed to having that completed by that time. However, in the event that the political theater here is gets out of control and we cannot get it done by that time, this will protect state agencies, state employees. It will protect those people who are required to rely on state services, and it will protect those who pay the bills for the state to operate. So there are protections. This is designed as prudence, planning for the future, protecting state workers, protecting the people who depend on those services, and protecting the people who pay the bills. Finally, I'll just note that while in the past there have been challenges and troubles in this body trying to get bills done, we have always done it. They went to the courts in the past, and some people might say, well, we can rely on the court to just go down that path. That would not be prudent or responsible behavior, because the Minnesota Supreme Court in 2017, as many of you are familiar, made a ruling. Justice Gildia, she explicitly pointed out that Article 11, Section 1, quote, "No money shall be paid out of the treasury of this state except in pursuance of appropriation by law." She goes on in another paragraph to say, "In the face of this unambiguous language, we have declined to order funding even in circumstances where constitutional rights are at stake. So again, I would repeat, we continue to work hard in all the committees and the negotiating team to get the work done for the people of this state. That's responsible, but it is also responsible to be prepared in the event that that does not happen. And in this case, this would prepare the state, prepare us, protect the citizens, protect those who rely on these services, and again, those who pay the bills. So I think I'll just end with that, Madam Chair and members.
Thank you, Senator Chamberlain. For the record, we do have a quorum. Senator Cohen.
Madam Chair, I've got a couple of questions, but before I do, as Chair, I don't know if you have some comments about Senator Chamberlain's bill that you want to make before I jump in.
No, I think Senator Chamberlain did a very good job of bringing this bill forward, and the reason we are in front of you with a continuing appropriation. And this is, with all intent, we will continue, as he said, to make sure that we serve the people of Minnesota. But this is a responsible measure, House File 2032 as amended. And with that, I will let you go with your questions, Senator Cohen.
Okay, thanks. So, Madam Chair, we've seen this in past years. When we reach this point, this is where we kind of throw up our hands up in the air and say, gee, we give up. Despite a couple of comments that Senator Chamberlain made. What concerns me, and obviously we've not been part of negotiations with the governor, you have been, Madam Chair, and so you could give us a better idea of how close or far apart the various sides are. You know, at least those of us in the minority in the Senate do not have a sense of that. But what I'm concerned with, Senator Chamberlain has talked about, you know, we're continuing to work and so on. I know that Senator Chamberlain has, in his conference committee, has met a number of times and has done quite a bit of work. But I also know that there are folks at this table where there's some variance in terms of conference committees. You know, the report we've had from our lead, for instance, on Senator Kiffmeyer's committee is that there have been no meetings. I know from talking to Senator Benson earlier today that Senator Benson has worked on her conference committee. But again, we hear reports from our leads that some of the conference committees are working, some of the conference committees are not working. So when Senator Chamberlain suggests in terms of the totality of where we are that we continue to work and so on, I just haven't been seeing that. And we have been sitting around waiting for targets. I've chaired enough conference committees over the years to know that there's a lot of work that can be done absent an overall target. There are a lot of things that can be adopted in terms of language, in terms of determining whether or not certain policy provisions should or should not be in a bill. There are a lot of things that can be done with appropriations that are agreed on, some of the nickel-dime kinds of appropriations, to then at the point that a target is established for a committee, that work can be done fairly expeditiously. I know we were in not a dissimilar position 4 years ago, so I want to go back to when we were in the majority. The Senate Democrats were in the majority. We had House Republicans in the majority. We had Governor Dayton. And we arrived at targets, and it was a pretty cumbersome and difficult process on Friday. So not today, but tomorrow. But there had been a great deal of work done by the conference committee, so we were able to put things together, albeit in a difficult way, and passed every bill by the end of that Monday night. Now, Governor Dayton vetoed a number of things. You know, we came back for a relatively short special session. And I don't have the sense that this year that's going on. So I don't know if it's a standoff within the negotiations, if it's a strategy by the part of the Senate majority. That's why, Madam Chair, I asked if you might have some thoughts about this. But again, this strikes me as not even a Hail Mary. This is just throwing our hands up in the air and say, you know, who knows?
There's several, Senator Cohen, that would like to speak on this, but I think you directed the question towards me, and I know that that the Senate Democrats probably 4 years ago were much more judicious about their policy that they put in their bills, and probably lined up a little more appropriately with the House Republicans. I know that a lot of these conference committees have got a tremendous amount of policy that they're waiting on, while they have waiting for their targets. So we have, as a majority, given a tremendous amount of power to our chairs to figure out their budgets and their bills, their conference committees, and we don't tend to micromanage. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And there comes a time at which, when I think of the court, the recent court change really made a difference than any other time. We have never had that kind of a court ruling before that laid out so clearly the constitutional basis for why the court would not be doing what we had taken for granted before, was some of that emergency funding. That is a huge, big difference that has changed everything right now. But since you brought up the State Government Conference Committee, I just want to respond that we've actually sent 2 or 3 articles to the Revisor's Office to get them ready, agreed to by Representative Nelson and myself, the co-chairs. We have gone through every single article except, I think, one, which is a lot of policy language, a lot of intertwined financial issues with it as well. And we agreed that if we had discussed everything we could and the other things were financial, we would wait for targets. So the other chair from the House canceled one day to the call of the chair yesterday. We waited, we talked, Representative Nelson and I, the other chair. We chatted last Friday, had a very good conversation with staff. We're planning to do that if we can today and then again tomorrow. So I think we've been making great progress and doing a lot of good work and working towards that conclusion. So I just thought it'd be good for folks to know that. And I think with the court case before us, though, back to the amendment that is at hand, that court case radically changes the premise by which we here in the legislature function. And it would be very foolhardy of us to not act differently, understanding that, reminding you that if the court continues with that position, which they've clearly laid out as Senator Chamberlain put forward, that is, means that some of what we consider essential services, our prisons and our state workers, and many of those that probably to 90% before were funded through the courts, that is all at risk. This is a very due diligence, conscientious approach to take that has greatly changed because of that court ruling.
Senator Cohen.
So, Madam Chair, I want to respond to a comment you made, which certainly is important, and that was relative to policy issues in the finance bill, because you had some of the same problems even with House Republicans a year ago with the supplemental finance bill. And so to give you your due, there clearly is an institutional difference between the House and the Senate. And the House seems to take this as a norm, and I know if I go back to my days as a House member, which were a number of years ago, I guess that's the way it works, doesn't it? And was kind of my attitude. So it's a frustration that I think the Senate has had with the House for a number of years. So I understand that. But I don't know that it serves a good purpose to get into bill after bill after bill in terms of what we're not going to do. But I think Senator Kiffmeyer talked about things that are not in her bill in terms of public safety, corrections, whatever. When this committee met and we heard Senator Limmer's bill, I was relatively surprised at the target and what was not in Senator Limmer's bill. And this, probably the most significant surprise I had was the request from the Department of Corrections for correctional officers and other aspects to what they were looking for. I'd been telling people for months that if there was a fait accompli relative to the budget process, we would take care of the Department of Corrections with the deaths of 2 correctional officers. And Senator Limmer, and Senator Limmer, Madam Chair and Senator Limmer, I apologize for putting words in your mouth and paraphrasing what you said, what now seems to be 6, 7, 8 months ago, with so much that happens around this place, the psychology we have. But you certainly expressed concerns about your target and the hope that your target would improve. And I've heard that from other chairs, not every chair, but certainly other chairs relative to where their bills were. But I think that piece is important to cite, because if we pass this bill, and this becomes law, and all the pressure is taken off of us, and we don't have to do anything to actually pass the totality of the budget, we leave that gaping hole in the Department of Corrections where everybody in the state, irrespective of party, irrespective of ideology, expects us to fix. And we can argue with Senator Nelson that we should have 8% on the formula, we should have 1% on the formula, we should have nothing on the formula. I have an argument as to what I want to see on the formula. But with the corrections officers and the corrections piece, we're talking about life and death. And so to pass this and take all the pressure off the legislature, take the pressure off the governor, and say, well, I guess we can't do any better, then we'll find ourselves in a significantly worse position post June 30th.
Thank you, Senator Cohen. Senator Newman.
Madam Chair and members, I just want to respond briefly to some of Senator Cohen's opening remarks regarding conference committees. And I can't comment on what other conference committees have been doing, but I can comment on what the Transportation Conference Committee has been doing. And I would like to tell the members here, and I'd like to tell the public that my counterpart and myself in the House, we have been working diligently every day on our conference committee and taking care of our responsibilities with respect to the area of transportation. And I think that the relationship that I have with Chair Hornstein is such that that is going to continue irrespective of this continuing funding resolution. And it seems to me to be absolutely appropriate in this instance at this time to make sure that the government is properly funded. I don't feel that the pressure has been taken off of me. I think it is my responsibility to keep on going, just like we have been going since the conference committee in the transportation arena was appointed. And I can tell you that just before coming to this finance committee, that's where I was in the conference committee for transportation. And just before I left, we talked about the fact that we will have another hearing tomorrow, and we are going to continue to do our job. So speaking only for myself, I don't feel like the pressure is off at all. I still have a job to do, and I intend to do it. And I want the listening public to know that that is what, insofar as my area is concerned, my arena, that's exactly what I intend to do. And I honestly believe that my counterpart in the House sees the same things the same way I do, and we are going to continue working.
Thank you, Senator Newman. Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I just want to speak to one aspect of this appropriation. And I'm speaking to one aspect, but it's over 800,000 kids that we're talking about. This is the education portion of this appropriation. I encourage members to take a look at this spreadsheet, and you will see that there are over $900 million that would be put at risk for our schools and our children if, in fact, our legislative leaders did not come to agreement in a timely manner. As you know, our schools are stretched pretty thin anyway, especially after the governor's veto in 2018, which has limited the 2019 appropriation increases to our schools. And then to think that if, in fact, our leaders, which we all wish them the very best, and that they will come to agreement, and we all will continue to hope and work for that and encourage that type of agreement, I am telling you that our schools and our kids cannot afford to do without the $900 million of forecasted base increases that are in this appropriations bill before us. So I don't for 1 minute think that passing this appropriations bill would in any way take the pressure off of a full budget resolution and our leaders coming to that full budget negotiations about what the Minnesota state budget is going to look like. Not for 1 minute would I let up in our education conference committee, nor do I think any chair would let up in working towards the budget that we are responsible for. But at this moment, as committee chairs, as finance chairs, our hands are a bit tied until our legislative leaders come to that sort of agreement. And the responsible thing to do is for us to pass this appropriations bill, which at the very minimum, is the forecast base. So I think it's a responsible thing to do, and we will still encourage, I will still encourage that we do get to that final budget negotiation, that resolution that I'm sure that Governor Walz and Speaker Hortman, Majority Leader Gazelka are working on. But in the meantime, we're responsible for the things that are under our jurisdiction and our control, and this is one of them. This is a responsible move.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. And I think Senator Chamberlain, the author, would like to respond.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick response in a tale that tags on to Senator Nelson's comments. You know, the alternative is shutting down. Now, we are still hopeful, and as people said, we're not quitting, and the conference committees have all been working. We meet every day in tax, and then we meet after that to continue the work. But the alternative is to say it's okay to shut down. I don't think it's okay to shut down. I think we should be prudent and do the right thing. So I don't think it's good to shut down, because we can talk about it's quite, you say it quite well, Senator Cohen, but your alternative is to shut it down. That's what you're saying. We can't do this because this takes the pressure off. Well, no, it doesn't. But your alternative really kills the golden calf.
Senator Cohen.
Well, Madam Chair and Senator Chamberlain, I would disagree respectfully.
I know.
I know you didn't expect me to agree. No, my position is not to shut down. My position is to force the issue by leadership, by the various chairs. I'm actually pleased to hear a report from some of the chairs. I'm not wandering around from conference committee to conference committee, but to hear Senator Kiffmeyer suggest that there have been articles sent to the revisor, to hear Senator Newman talk about the work that he and Representative Hornstein have done to try to affect an agreement and get a transportation bill passed. So no, I don't want to shut down anything. I've participated in at least 2 shutdowns, one for some duration, one for about a week or so, and it's not pleasant for anybody, not just simply the legislature, it's not pleasant for the state of Minnesota. We saw what happened with the federal shutdown this past winter, where there was a shutdown lengthier than any shutdown, I believe, in the history of the country, where folks were hurting, where federal workers were going to food banks, where there were needed services that were not available. So no, I don't suggest a shutdown. I didn't suggest a shutdown in 2011. I didn't suggest a shutdown in 2005. And I certainly don't suggest a shutdown this year. But as I listen to the chairs talk about what they're doing and recognize that at the table we don't have every single finance committee chairman, it does beg the question as to what the differences are. As I listen to Senator Kiffmeyer and Senator Newman talk about what they've been able to accomplish, I do know that in a couple of other committees there have been efforts to do quite a bit of work. It does beg the question as to what the differences are that are preventing us from completing our work. We whatever cliches you want to use, this kind of approach has always suggested to me a surrender of some sort, because we know it's not a real approach. And we can hear folks at the table talk about their belief that this is the responsible thing to do. This is something that suggests the legislature is incapable of doing its job. And I don't know why that is. You know, in 2011, and I was in the minority then, DFL was in the minority then, I was not enthused about the shutdown. But I understood in the context of a $6 billion deficit, things were pretty tough. And Senator Chamberlain, I think that was your first year in the Senate, and that had to have been an unpleasant introduction to the state legislature to have.
I had better times.
Yeah, to have your first session be one where, with a $6 billion deficit, that it was almost impossible to deal with. In 2005, the differences were not as great as obviously they were in 2011. It seems to me this year, and what we've heard from the Senate majority over and over again, is that we have a surplus. We know that there are some approaches in terms of revenue, even if what the governor or the House majority have presented is not acceptable. We know there are some easier ways to arrive at some very common goals. We've heard Senator Nelson, and Senator Nelson, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but we have heard you talk about what money has been there for K-12 with the work you've done over the last several years, with the work you've done this year. But we know that there has been some support for increasing the general ed formula. We heard it from former Speaker Dowd these last couple of days. So we know that there's, I won't say consensus, but I think some strong bipartisan support for doing something with the formula monies. And if we agree on some of these common goals, I mentioned corrections as a very notable example. If we agree on some of our common goals, it would seem that if it's a question of trying to fill in some gaps with revenue, that's not impossible to do. And I'm not suggesting tripling income taxes in the state to do it. There are some ways to do it that I think would be palatable to a vast majority of people in the state, and some ways to get from A to B to C. And those of us who've been here for a while, and I'll stipulate I've been here for a while, that if there's a will, there's a way, to use the cliche. And just this bill does not suggest there's a will to get there.
Thank you, Senator Cohen. And I have some comments, but I think I'm going to allow Senator Benson, because she is probably thinking the same reply to several of those comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Senator Cohen mentioned the legislature not being able to get its job done. There's more than just the legislature in the negotiations. And so you're a member of this body as well. You know how hard it can be to deliver these budgets, but this is not a legislative problem. This is fundamental differences that need to be worked through. We have very reasonable people at the table, but there is a concern, and this might not be where Senator Rosen was going, but I remember the summer of this court case and having to make decisions about our staff and how we were going to feather out the money to make it to session. And I really don't want to play chicken with our staff. If we can't do this in time, then I want the people who work here, the people who work for the state, to know that there is a path. The Supreme Court case that left us uncovered that July until the next session fundamentally changed the way we look at shutdowns. And if we are not focused on the fundamental change, then we are not having the right conversation about this continuing appropriation. All the other things can be political theater, But if you are watching this and you don't understand the fundamental change, when the Supreme Court says the Minnesota Constitution is unambiguous, no money shall be paid out of the treasury of the state except in pursuance of appropriation by law, the Supreme Court can't come in and special master save us. They end that paragraph with, even in circumstances where constitutional rights are at stake. They put down a really hard marker. And all the other conversations we're going to have about if people are adopting articles and have they been meeting enough and are you giving and taking enough in negotiations, they put down a marker that if we are not fully eyes open, awake, and everybody who's in this bubble knows what this means. If they read this, they know exactly what this means. This is fundamentally different than every other shutdown, and until the conversation moves to that place, it is sound and fury. So I take this exceptionally seriously because I don't think the Supreme Court's going to back off from this. And I don't want to take a chance that lawyers talking in a room are going to save us if we don't get our work done. So if we can move the conversation to the fact that things are fundamentally different than any other shutdown, I think we'll be in a much better place to accomplish something that sets a level for everybody who watches what happens, who's impacted by our state government. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Benson. Senator Cohen, in response.
Madam Chair, just relative to the discussion we've been having about the Supreme Court, I want to be a little bit careful, think we should be a little bit careful, trying to determine what the court's going to do. And I have the highest respect for Chief Justice Gilday. I've spent a lot of time with her over the years since she became Chief Justice. And certainly she spoke strongly in that opinion. I will suggest that that opinion was written with a different set of circumstances. I will point out for whatever it's worth, and I hesitate to suggest what he may or may not do, but there's, since that opinion was issued, there's a new member of the Supreme Court who is a former Speaker of the House, who brings a very different perspective to the court. I don't think we've had somebody who has a legislative background in the court since, I'd have to think of my history, I'm not sure when, Chief Justice Keith, I'm not sure. But I think it's difficult to know how the Supreme Court will view where we are right now. That opinion was written with a different set of circumstances. So I think we should be a little bit careful about using that interpretation to graft on what we're doing tonight and possibly over the next couple of days.
Senator Marty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd say this is premature. Not premature because I think we're going to finish by Monday. I have this sinking feeling we're not. I think most people at this table do. I think we are disappointed that that's not happening. And we all understand why. There are strong differences, deeply held beliefs, and we understand that. But, Senator Chamberlain, when you were saying that, you know, if we don't do this, government's going to shut down, people get laid off, that's 45, I think, days away when that would happen. It's not Monday. And I think the shutdown, Senator Benson, shut down with the layoffs of our employees and other state employees and shutting down everything in state government is a disaster. I think passing something to put us on autopilot at the existing appropriation levels is less bad, not a lot less bad, but I think it also takes a lot of pressure off, not off everybody. But if you say, well, you know, I don't like funding this area, and it does take pressure off some people who may want a lesser appropriation for something like corrections. I see that if we don't do something about corrections, I think both parties are going to argue we haven't done enough. And if we put it on autopilot for where February forecast was, we're taking pressure off. So I'm not saying we shouldn't ever do this continuing appropriation. I think this is less bad than shutdown. But it is taking pressure off, and it is premature for that. A month from now, if we're sitting here and sitting elsewhere waiting for a special session because they're still negotiating, then I think that might be the time to do it. I'd argue do it before all the employees get layoff notices and start really worrying about it. I think we should all commit to making sure we do if we can't avoid anything else other than the worst of a shutdown, then do the second worst, like this. But until that point, let's keep working at it. And I think several of the conference committees, I think the one Senator Benson and Senator and Representative Liebling are chairing is the most intense, I'm guessing, in terms of number of hours we met and so on, and I think that's going to continue. But I think it is appropriate to be thinking ahead about what we would do to prevent a shutdown. I think it's very appropriate to do, but saying 4 days before the end of the regular session that we're at that time now, I think, if anything, that may take pressure off of us and from good faith negotiations. And so I'm not angry that you're trying this now. I just think it's premature and hope we don't come to this a month from now. But at this point, I think we keep working and keep plugging away and do as much as we can before the session ends, and the negotiators keep working after that and keep moving. So it's a matter of timing. I still think this is premature, and not because this is not near the end of session, but premature because it's not near the end of the pulling every effort together before we step down and say this is all we can do to prevent a shutdown.
And Madam Chair, if I
Senator
could
Benson.
make a point of parliamentary inquiry to Mr. Bodden. When the legislature is not in session and we are constitutionally mandated to adjourn, can we act on continuing appropriations?
Mr. Bonner?
Madam Chair and Senator Benson, I don't know that it's a point of parliamentary inquiry, but it is, as a general matter, I think what you're asking is whether the legislature can act during the interim without being called into special session.
Yes, Mr. Bodden.
That, Madam Chair and Senator Benson, would be absolutely correct. It's impossible for the legislature to act after adjournment of the regular session without being called into special session.
Senator Benson.
Thank you, Mr. Bodden. And my point, Madam Chairs, I appreciate that Senator Marty is open to this as we move forward, but for the benefit of people who will be paying attention to this, when we are constitutionally mandated to adjourn, we can't bring ourselves back in to fix this problem before July 1st. The governor would have to call us in for a special session. I just want to be clear that the reason we're acting at the end of session is because we don't have the time to act after we adjourn.
Senator Hayden.
Madam Chair.
Oh, Senator Marty, I'm sorry.
Just very briefly, yes, we need the governor to call us back. I don't think there's anybody here who doubts the governor would call us back to at least do something like this if it reached that stage. But I think this is very premature to be. I think it's surrendering before we should surrender. I think we should keep, I don't know if butting heads is the right term, but keep meeting together and arguing with each other and fighting for what we believe and try and come up with a conclusion, because I think in the end we can do that. And I think this is not a necessary thing now, and I have zero doubt that the governor would call us back to make sure we do anything possible, including this, if it's what we require. But this is premature for now.
Senator Marty, I just have to comment that you keep calling it a surrender, and there is nothing in this that I believe is a surrender, because I have great faith that the negotiations will continue and work in the conference committees will continue. I view this as an insurance policy appropriate for the state of Minnesota and for the people to know that the core functions will continue. But this is serious business. And we need to have a chief executive officer that will step up and say, what is the best for the state? Do we ever talk about that enough? What is the best for the state? A shutdown is not the best for the state. And to continue as we are right now is troubling. So we're going to, move with this continuing appropriation and make sure that we have everything in line to take care of the state. Senator Hayden.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. There's been a lot said, and clearly there are negotiations, and we've gone into kind of the quiet part of the negotiations, which I think is helpful, but that also means that some of us don't know what is going on. So there's like some presumption going on that negotiations are at an impasse. I can't listen to Twitter right now because I'm listening to you, but clearly there's dueling press conferences and others are going on that suggest that there is some issue that the majority party in the Senate wanted to bring a continuing resolution forward. You know, I've been here about 11 years, and few of those years I got a chance to sit with Senator Cohen and Senator Bach when we were in the majority and go through this process a little bit, and it's tough, and it's hard, and it's difficult, and you wrestle, and you want to really fight for what you believe is right, and at some point you got to make some compromises, and what drives you to do that is the constitutionally mandated provision that says that we got to leave on Monday. That's the whole point. It's not the insurance policy is we got to go. We got to get something done. So at some point you got to give up a little bit of what you don't want, and the other side's got to give up a little bit of what they don't want, and then we have to get out of here. And so, you know, at the risk of, you know, being on the outside a little bit, I said to you a little earlier, Madam Chair, that I guess my role is as the chefs cook the soup, I'm just supposed to taste it and tell you if it's good at the end. And this appears to be certainly premature, and it feels like we're going down the road that they are in Washington. And everybody says that Washington is dysfunctional, and this series of continuing resolutions hasn't gotten us to where we needed to be. And I don't know people on either side of the aisle that think that that's the right way to go. And I would hate for us in Minnesota to start a precedence of doing that work. And to Senator Benson's point, you know, and I defer to Senator Cohen as a lawyer and some of my other friends here that are lawyers that can kind of understand the context of the Supreme Court and when the case was brought. But that does even add more pressure to the process. So without being redundant and saying all of the things that we say, or to turn this into a ideological conversation on the issues, which that's not what this is about, I just think that it's time for people to roll up their sleeves and feel the pressure, feel that tingling in your gut that everybody starts to get, starts to feel like, hey, what are we going to do here? And come up with a resolution, get some targets on the table, and then by then I don't think we have enough time to finish on Monday, but at that point, we at least know that we have somewhat of an agreement, and then we can figure out how do we kind of, because we still have a lot of work there. I mean, I remember the years that we had to help chairs close their bills because they couldn't agree at some point. They had to actually act as parents around here. So there's a lot of work that's yet to be done, and I certainly feel it's premature. And yes, to Senator Benson's point, the governor is the only one that calls us back. It's like that, and it's like that no matter who the governor is. That's part of this process. That's the way it goes. We're in the Senate. The House is across the street. People want to be the governor. They run for governor, and that one of the advantages that the governor has is he has the bully pulpit, but he also has time on his hands. That's one of his levers. So, like the idea that we're going to, and I served under Governor Pawlenty, and there was all kind of things, and that was some of my first years here, Senator Chamberlain, and I had no idea. Senator Champion had no idea what the heck was going on. Unallotment, all kind of stuff was happening. I see some of my friends in the crowd now that are lobbying that worked for the governor at the time. It's just sometimes the way it goes. That's our tradition. That's our process. It's time to get to work. I'm not suggesting you haven't been, so I don't want to turn this into a personalized, offensive conversation. But let's get to work, and instead of spending this amount of time trying to figure out how to put through a continual resolution that I don't think that the House is probably even going to look at, let's figure out ways in which we can get through this session.
Thank you, Senator Hayden. Senator Nelson.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. It has been an enlightening discussion here tonight about something so critically important, which is the well-being of our state and its citizens being able to access its core government functions. But I did want to just kind of put to rest some of the things that I heard around the table here. Getting to work. We do need to get to work. I would say you always have to know what your jurisdiction is. There's not a one of us that I see sitting at this table tonight that has the jurisdiction to forge that compromise between the majority leader, the speaker, and the governor. Our jurisdiction here, as many finance chairs, is to make sure that our finance committees are meeting with our counterparts over in the House. And my counterpart, Representative Dabney, informed me today that we just adopt the 40th Senate provision. Well, I can tell you, as someone that's counting, that means we've adopted 40 House provisions as well. So we are doing our work. And the point is, you do have to know what are your jurisdictional boundaries. Our boundaries do not include us determining what that Minnesota budget is going to look like. We also heard a lot about pressure. I want to talk a little bit about the pressure. Think about the budgets that have been out since the governor's budget, both pre-forecast and after forecast, and our Senate budgets and our House budgets for each target each one of us chairs have put forth. You must know, surely, that every one of those budgets, whether it was the House budget, which was billions of dollars over the current budget, or the governor's budget, which was significantly over the current budget, or the Senate budget, which was significantly more than the appropriation that we're looking at here today, just to make sure that Minnesota citizens can go to bed at night and not worry about, are those folks up at our Minnesota Capitol, are they going to be able to keep the lights on? Are we going to be able to make sure that we have the services that we depend on? Some, as Senator Cohen mentioned, are a matter of public safety. I spoke about our schools. So we cannot kid ourselves and think that somehow offering the budget forecast, which is smaller than the governor's offered budget, the House or the Senate offered budget, is somehow going to remove the pressure. The math just doesn't add up. So doing and continuing appropriation such as we have tonight, which simply continues the budget at existing levels, I don't think it's a matter of removing pressure. I certainly don't think it's surrender. We are going to continue to push our leaders to make those necessary adjustments. But it is not premature either. Premature means it's coming before its time. What this is, it's good planning. Important things in your life have a plan B. You always have a plan B. You have plan A, and our plan A is that our leaders continue to work together and come up with that budget that is going to serve Minnesotans well. We know whatever it is, it's going to be more than the appropriation we're looking at tonight. But we always should have a plan B. If it's important in your life, I can guarantee you, you have a plan B. Well, this is our plan B. This is what I see as a plan B. We're going to continue to hope that our leaders push to get that budget negotiation out and finished. But we have a plan B, and that's what is before us tonight. And as I said, I think important things in life, you always have a plan B.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. Senator Western.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and just adding on a little bit, Senator Benson, I think, stated it pretty well, but Senator Marty, I think I would just add in, we do not have the authority to bring ourselves back after May 20th. And so I don't know if waiting till Saturday makes you feel better, but I want to remind you, this bill needs a second hearing. Soonest the Senate can bring it up is tomorrow. The soonest the House could bring it up would be Saturday, and Monday is adjournment day. I think Plan B is a good option. It's prudent planning by the Senate and makes sense for the taxpayers and for the entities and the agencies that provide services, whether it's state parks, schools, nursing homes. And Senator Cohen, we discussed the Supreme Court. We are a co-equal branch. They are separate. We are separate. But they wouldn't be doing their job if they read into the Constitution something different that wasn't there. And I think that court case that we've been referring to, Article 11, Section 1, the court says it very clearly. This language is unambiguous. They don't have the right to set a budget. They have a right to review it and review the laws that are passed by the legislature. But if there's no budget, we can't somehow expect them to pull a power out of the sky that they don't have. And so what makes sense is to have a plan B, a lights-on approach. Senator Chamberlain, thank you for bringing this forward. I think it is absolutely time to have a plan B and an insurance policy for all the citizens of the state of Minnesota to get this passed while another budget is either finalized or negotiated. And if everything goes as planned, Senator Marty, that there's not a budget on May 20th, but another budget sometime before June 30th, this bill is not needed. But in the event that isn't the case, why would you want to put the citizens through a shutdown instead of passing a continuing appropriation bill like we have in front of us? That is the two choices. It's either zero on July 1st if there's not another budget deal by then, or it's this bill with a continuing appropriation of the existing budget. That is just common sense to me. And so I don't know why we would want to wait another day or two, because we're close enough to May 20th, but that's the end of the legislative calendar, as you well know. And don't rely on the governor. Governor Dayton, I sat here on June 30th, 2011. The entire House Majority Caucus was sitting in the chamber ready to work. Governor Dayton, call us back. We're ready to pass a budget. He waited 3 weeks to pass virtually the same budget that was negotiated on June 30th, but he waited 3 weeks before we passed it. So I wouldn't be so sure that you've got control of the governor, because same DFL governor that was in the office in 2011 that was in your party didn't call us back. And as you know, they're separate, equal branches. You don't have control over the governor. This is a prudent step. So members, I'd urge your support.
Thank you, Senator Western. Senator Cohen.
So, Madam Chair, a couple of things. First of all, I don't want to belabor the discussion between Senator Marty and Senator Benson relative to a special session. There's nothing, all of us in this room know, and the public should know, that there's nothing to keep us from meeting informally, that if we don't finish everything by midnight on May 20th, that even if there's not a special session, committees can meet informally, reach informal agreements, and make it that much easier to adopt what might take place. The more serious comment I wanted to make, and I hope I have not misunderstood members of the majority in comments made about the governor, and certainly relative to what Senator Westrom just mentioned with a comparison between Governor Dayton and Governor Walz. Governor Dayton was a prior governor. I have a lot of respect for Governor Dayton. I've known him for many years. Governor Walz, at least to those of us in the minority, we've not been participants in the negotiations over these last several days. What I do know about Governor Walz is he came into office with a significant electoral mandate. What I know about Governor Walz is that, and I'm not saying this just for the public consumption, I've said this privately to many people around this place. I've never heard a State of the State speech as I heard from Governor Walz. It was striking, and he reached out to the Senate majority and the House minority in a way that was quite unique. And what I know about Governor Walz is that he wants to reach an agreement. He has stated so. I've not talked to him for about a week or so, but he has stated over and over again that he has wanted to affect what's going to work for the state of Minnesota and work for all of us, irrespective of party, irrespective of ideology. What I know publicly is that he tried to make a significant move in the direction of the Senate majority That's the only public move I've been aware of from either side. And I know that he is determined to do not only what is best for Minnesota, but to do so in a way that makes it a winning proposition for everybody. He has stated that publicly, he has stated that privately. So I've heard a couple of comments about Governor Walz, or a couple of things where I've drawn an inference. I hope I've drawn incorrect inferences from what has been said. But I do know that as governor of the state, he is somebody who is dead serious about One Minnesota. That was the campaign slogan. But he absolutely believes that to his depth. And I think we should not negate his determination to reach an agreement in an equitable, fair, and timely manner.
Thank you, Senator Cohen. Senator Newman.
Madam Chair, just a couple of real quick comments. Senator Cohen had mentioned that the legislature is incapable of doing its job, and Governor Walz is a player in whether or not we are able to do our job. I do believe that Governor Walz is trying to do the best that he can, but I would remind you that the legislature has to be able to engage in meaningful conversations and bargaining, and with some of the extreme tax increases and spending increases that he has proposed, and I will point you directly at the transportation area, that in my estimation he is attempting to balance his budget on the backs of those who drive automobiles and trucks. He's doing it on the backs of the transportation people. And you know, in this setting, it's the House, the Senate, and the governor, not just the legislature, that has to arrive and come to a meaningful settlement. Senator Cohen, the Supreme Court does not make decisions and then reverse themselves on the basis of a new member being appointed to the court. We are faced with a Supreme Court decision that is unequivocal in its language, and for that reason, I think it's absolutely prudent that we're taking the action that we are taking today. It is not premature, and nobody, not even Senator Marty, can say there is a zero chance that the governor is going to not call us back into special session. We can't take that chance. And we are at the end of the regular session, and it would be imprudent of us to not take the steps necessary to protect the people in the state of Minnesota by passing this continuing appropriation bill.
Thank you, Senator Newman. Senator Eaton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I mean, I'm fine with everybody expressing their frustration at the situation we find ourselves in with the negotiations, obviously at an impasse, but this doesn't feel like a good faith intention to actually negotiate a budget. This, we have 45 days to continue to discuss this and negotiate before this is even a reality. And on top of that, I'm pretty confident the House isn't going to hear this. So if our purpose tonight is to just send a message that we're all frustrated, I'm fine with that. I have nothing better to do tonight. But I'm disappointed that we're going the route of the federal government of being a dysfunctional government. If we did this, pass this, we just never have a new budget. We just keep kicking the can down the road, and we would cease to actually make a difference in people's lives. This would harm a lot of people because there's a lot of needs in this state this would not fund. So I'm hoping that we get serious and start finding agreement. Start working across the aisle. It's not that hard. And find a way to move Minnesota forward. I think it's really important.
Thank you, Senator Eaton. Senator Marty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When we're talking about the purpose of this this legislation today. I'm curious, Senator Chamberlain, did you talk with the governor about whether he would support this?
Senator Chamberlain.
I think you know I'll disagree. No. Madam Chair, Senator Marty, no, I did not speak with the governor about this. I hope the House will hear this. To say, there's a lot of talk of Senator Cohen, inferences, and don't want to put words in people's mouths, but you do a good job at inferring, implying, and putting words in people's mouths and trying to twist intent. But I hope the House hears it. I hope the House hears it. They should hear it. It's a responsible thing to do. That is the thing. And many comments have been made. Senator Eaton, there are 3 parties in the negotiation. 3 parties. He can reach just like we can reach. That's why we're here doing this. There's an impasse. There's a huge gap and a huge difference between ideas of how this state goes forward. And I'll be honest. One side, since we're dropping all these things all over the place, one side believes that $12 billion of tax increases are the way to do it. Another side says, I think there's probably a better way to do that. I think there's a better way to do it. But putting this on the backs of people and putting people at risk by saying this is premature and that the Supreme Court, we should, as Senator Benson said, we should play chicken with them, I think is a bad idea. Any reasonable person would say it's wise. The old grasshopper story, right? The grasshopper and the ant. Which one was it that kept working and storing up food for the winter? The other one, we got time, we got time. Well, didn't work out so well. So a lot of inferences and implications. And Senator Cohen, I love you like a brother, but don't try to infer what I'm thinking or any of my colleagues or any of your colleagues. Don't try to infer. It's either fact or not. If it comes out of my mouth, it comes on a piece of paper, then you can say it. But don't try to imply or say you're trying to infer or I'm trying to imply something without actually hearing me say it or write it. So this is a smart thing. It's not premature. I hope the House hears it. You're putting a lot of people at risk by not doing it, not the other way around. Thank you for the time.
Madam Chair.
Senator Marty.
Senator Chamberlain, did you talk to anybody in House leadership
What do you
Senator
mean?
Chamberlain.
about this
Senator
proposal?
Marty.
Madam Chair?
Madam Chair, or Senator Chamberlain. I got me confused.
Madam Chair, I don't know what you're referring to. Did I talk to other people about this?
Senator Marty.
Madam Chair, like I asked you about whether you had talked with the governor about this idea, if this thing that you're doing to bring everybody together, if you've talked with anybody in House leadership about whether they think this is a good idea, whether they are on the same page as you on this.
I have not
Senator
talked-
Chamberlain.
Madam Chair, Senator Marty, I have not talked to House leadership.
Senator Marty.
Madam Chair, thank you. That's why I don't think this is a very helpful move. You're coming into this is what we're going to do to save it from this, and some of the things have been said about the governor really sell the governor extremely short. Lots of politicians get sold short on some things, but this governor who State of the State made it very clear, I think he was very sincere, and I don't think anybody here doubts that he was sincere about trying to work together, trying to reach out and say, we'll argue about our differences, but we can still work together. And I think saying, well, he might not call a special session, he might just shut us down. I think that's selling him short. I think the idea that saying, this is the only way we can sell it short is by doing this before we shut down the regular session, because he won't call us into special session. He might not, and then we're stuck with a shutdown. And what's your plan B? Plan A might be to talk with the governor and talk with the House leadership before saying you got this wonderful solution that this is the last minute and we don't have any choice. It would be appropriate. I think the governor and the House leadership, who the Senate majority is at odds with right now, I think if you talk with them about this, then maybe they can say, hey, well, yeah, this might be a responsible way, because I'll guarantee you the House majority and the governor, like you, want to have a plan B so we don't shut down state government. I think this is premature, however. I think it puts things on autopilot, and everything we complain about the federal government never passing a budget because they're on autopilot with continuing resolutions. I think we're doing the same thing here. I think it is premature, And if it wasn't premature, I think you might have at least taken a few minutes to go talk with the governor and House leadership about whether they want to work with you on this or whether this is just one more negotiating strategy to push this out there and say, hey, we're looking for this as a last-minute desperation compromise.
Oh, Madam
Senator
Chair,
Chamberlain.
there we go again. You're just trying to put words in my mouth and our mouths about what our goal is here. I caution you on that. My goal is to make sure we protect the rights of the citizens of this state. Now, we may not like where we're at, but that's where we're at. So you can make all the comparisons to the federal government you want. We may not like it. I don't like it. But the fact of the matter still remains. Here we are. So the question then is, what do we do? Do we continue the political theater and make inferences and implications and say the Supreme Court won't do X or the governor's a great guy? Well, I'm a student of history. I haven't met with the governor much. Shook hands with him before he got sworn in, and then as I was walking through the hall, and then briefly one day about some tax bill. But I'm a student of human history. We understand human history. I don't think I'd put a lot of faith in making sure we all just get to the right spot, because people have done things in the past. I'm not saying the governor is going to do that, but to put your faith and trust in that when you got this kind of money on the line, these kind of stakes, I think is a bad way to go. I think you all know it, that we have to do something that's smart. Like, make all the comparisons you want to D.C. Fact remains, we're stuck and we had to move on and do something. Thank you.
Senator Marty.
Madam Chair, Senator Chamberlain, if this was not political theater, to use your word, if this was not political theater, the smart thing to do would have been to reach out to the governor, reach out to the House majority and say, it looks like we're not going to make it done by Monday. It looks like we're going to have to come into special session or we'd have a shutdown. I think this would be an appropriate thing to do, and I'd like to talk with you about it. I have a feeling that would make it a serious move and not a political ploy. And again, my pitch is we should keep doing what we're doing. I'm not saying we're not doing it because, again, conference committee I'm serving on is meeting many hours, many hours, and I think a lot of others are as well. I think that to come in and say we're at this last minute, we have no other choice, let's put this in place as a backstop, I think if it was a sincere effort to do that, it would be wise, prudent to talk with the governor and the House majority first.
Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Chamberlain, I agree with you that the House would, matter of fact, be interested in taking this language up. In fact, they already voted on language similar to this, and it's currently in their state government budget bill. That would fund, the language there says, and this has already passed the floor of the House, that they would fund state government employees only, just state government employees, in the event of a shutdown. The House already has a position to fund state government employees, only state government employees exclusively. They already have that position. So this subject has already come up in the House. They've already had hearings and discussion about it. So indeed, it's very appropriate for us here in the Senate to bring up this language. But we're not just caring about state government employees, we're caring about everybody, the people of Minnesota. And I think that's the important difference that we in the Senate are saying here, not just state government employees, but for the distinct benefit of all the people of Minnesota and the services that they need. So I think, Senator Chamberlain, that's some good news for you as well and to all of us, that the House already has a position, partly doing what the Senate is having here. So I think it's very relevant and very doable.
Thank you, Senator Kiffmeyer. Senator Ingebrigtsen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I've been listening closely to the conversation and just know that my committee, along with my counterpart in the House, have been working very hard, a lot of hours actually, and 80-plus provisions have been agreed upon in the Environment, Natural Resources Finance Committee. So we haven't been sitting on our hands, but the conversation has really kind of wandered all over the place here tonight, and
it's quite interesting, Senator Cohen, knowing your history here and with the finance and being the finance chair for the beginning of the years that I was here, and with your expertise, I think you might be in the minority this year, but you're cutting yourself quite short here. Actually, I'm quite surprised that the governor's office hasn't reached out to you, and I say that because Governor Walz, I haven't had an opportunity to talk to too much, but I know he comes with a lot of experience, but he comes with experience that I think Senator Eaton, Senator Hayden referred to, and that's Washington, D.C. experience. And I think it would be better for you, and certainly for him and the rest of the team, for you to bring your expertise to this negotiating table, representing the Senate, knowing that you've been in these positions before. So I think you're cutting yourself short here, and if the governor's office isn't using your expertise, I think that's quite short-sighted. And I'm not saying that just to bolster your divine years of experience here. I'm very serious when I say that. And Senator Chamberlain, thank you for this. This is certainly not a surrender. It's the prudent thing to do, and it's the right thing to do, and I support it wholeheartedly, and I hope the House joins with us, because I don't want to have to answer for shutting down parks, don't have to answer to shutting down wayside rest areas. The folks are wondering why we can't get our work done. I just had somebody today in town ask me, why do you guys wait till the last minute? And I'm sure we've all heard that before. So the last minute's not up. We can still get it done. But I hope again the governor's office draws from the experience that we have here sitting at this very table, even though we are not part of the process, as was mentioned. So.
Thank you, Senator Ingebrigtsen. Senator Cohen, did you have?
Madam Chair, I think members of the majority should be assured that the governor has reached out to many people. I've had many conversations this session with Commissioner Franz, who would be more directly my counterpart in terms of chairing the Finance Committee, and Commissioner Franz as Commissioner of M&B. The governor's office has spoken to many of us about our perspectives on the budget, our perspectives on particular parts of the budget in which we have expertise. So, Senator Ingebrigtsen, appreciate your comments about myself, but there's no question the administration has spent time with many of us. And obviously, I know the governor has spent time with the senior leadership of the majority party in the Senate, and that the governor's administration has been more than available to the respective chairs of these Senate committees.
Thank you, Senator Cohen. And before I go to closing comments, Senator Chamberlain, I just would like to say that around this table, I'm probably the one who knows this governor the best. He served the 1st District, Senator Nelson's district also, and he served it very well. And he's a very honorable man, and he is very much engaged and truly believes with his core in one Minnesota. But you have a Democrat House and a Senate Republicans body, and it is his job to figure how to blend a budget, how to move forward, to be a part of that negotiations. And I'm putting a lot on his shoulders. I'm putting a lot on him to make sure that we can agree to a budget moving forward. So we are at somewhat at an impasse. This is a protection policy, I believe, that is very transparent, very accountable, and it is the right and proper thing to do to make sure that we have this continuing appropriation in place. But I do have great faith in this governor. I have great faith in the speaker. She's very passionate about her issues and about the people that she serves too, just as much as we are around this table. So it is not best for the state to go into a shutdown. That's a terrible thing for the state. I've all around this table, I've dealt with that. And I honestly have full confidence we are not going that direction, but we have to put the process in place to make sure that we can continue to provide to and have the core functions of the state served. Senator Chamberlain, closing comments, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members. These are difficult discussions, but nonetheless important and necessary if we want to move forward with things. So I appreciate the conversation. It's been said many times that this is the wise, prudent, responsible thing to do. I think we all know it in your hearts. And aside from that, it's about protecting, again, citizens, the state employees, the people who depend on us, and then protecting those people that pay the bills here. It's not premature. We had to be wise about this. You get to mid-June, the layoff letters have gone out. We know this is the right step to take. I'm glad Senator Kiffmeyer mentioned the House does have language that connects this. I hope they reach across the aisle and we can talk to them about it and we can get this done. There's no question that the Supreme Court is not going to. I think to read something else into that language is to make a grave error. We must do what we have to do to protect the citizens, protect the state, protect the people who pay the bills, and not play around with that. It's simple, it's easy, straightforward, and I think it's the wise thing to do. So, members, thank you very much. Thank you for the time, Madam Chair, and the committee. I look forward to talking to the House and to the governor about making sure this gets done and taking care of the situation that we see ourselves in. We can't change it. It is what it is, and I hope they'll see that and at least come to agreement on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Chamberlain. Senator Cohen.
Madam Chair, just very, very briefly, we've had a significant discussion this evening about how members and caucuses feel. Clearly, I think the minority has made it clear that we think for many and varied reasons this is something that's premature and should not be done at this hour. Madam Chair, I hope during the course of discussions during this year's session I've been judicious in regard to a request for a roll call, but I do think this evening would request a roll call on Senator Chamberlain's bill.
Thank you, Senator Cohen. A roll call has been requested. Roll call granted. Senator Ingebrigtsen renews his motion on the A3 amendment. A roll call has been requested. A roll call granted. Clerk will take the roll. The chair votes aye.
Senator Ingebrigtsen?
Yes.
Senator Cohen? No. Senator Benson?
Yes.
Senator Champion?
No.
Senator Eaton?
No.
Senator Hayden? No. Senator Kiffmeyer?
Yes.
Senator Limmer?
Yes.
Senator Marty? Senator Nelson?
Yes.
Senator Newman? Yes. Senator Westrom?
Yes.
There being 8 ayes and 5 noes, the amendment is adopted.
Madam Chair.
Senator Ingebrigtsen.
Madam Chair, I move that the House File 2032 be recommended to pass as amended and placed on general orders.
On Senator Ingebrigtsen's motion, a roll call has been requested. A roll call granted. The clerk will take the roll.
Senator Rosen?
Aye.
Senator Ingebrigtsen?
Yes.
Senator Cohen? No. Senator Benson? Yes. Senator Champion? No. Senator Eaton?
No.
Senator Hayden? No. Senator Kiffmeyer?
Yes.
Senator Limmer?
Yes.
Senator Marty? No. Senator Nelson? Yes. Senator Newman? Yes. Senator Westrom?
Yes.
There being 8 ayes and 5 noes, the motion prevails. Members, no further comments. Finance Committee is adjourned.